It all started with a very simple idea. Tell the stories of how successful middle market CEOs made it to the corner office. I'm Brant Handley, founder and managing director of Resource Options International, or ROI. We're the USA's premier executive search firm focused exclusively on empowering middle market companies to attract, hire, and retain A players while transforming top executives' careers and lives. ROI's Into the Corner office is dedicated to discovering how middle market CEOs advance their career, and we're making these remarkable and sometimes quite unbelievable stories available to you for the very first time. Listen and learn about the challenges they've overcome, the interesting people they've met along the way, and the lessons learned that steered these executives' unique journey into a middle market corner office of their own. I know you enjoy these CEO stories as much as I've enjoyed recording them. So thank you for listening today. And if you like what you've heard, rate us on iTunes or wherever you get your podcasts. I'm looking forward to you joining me on the next great middle market CEO adventure into the corner office. Today, my guest is Donald Bloom, President and CEO of Prime Retail Services, an international company with operations in the U.S., Canada, and Mexico. Prime provides construction services, equipment installation, technology deployment, and multi-site electrical services to national and international multi-site property owners and managers. Donald holds a Bachelor of Business Administration and Accounting from the University of Georgia and has held a CPA license in the past. After graduation, Donald worked with regional CPA firms working with audit, tax, and business consulting clients. The experience in public accounting provided Donald with the experience to start other business ventures in Georgia. His wife Joy and their 12 children also share in the pursuit of this daily purpose. The positive impact is created by living out the core values of Prime, which are honesty, integrity, hard work, putting others above themselves, and thanking God for his provisions. Donald's family mission is to love with his wife as Christ loved the church, and he measures this by asking his wife and children for frequent feedback, and in doing so has generated strong support of his mission by everyone in the family. Donald Bloom, welcome into the corner office.
Brant, I really appreciate it. Thanks for having me and look forward to our time today.
Oh, great to hear your voice as well. And I know you're located down in Georgia. Have the blossoms start to come out yet, and is spring sprung down in your part of the world, or are you still experiencing a little bit of that cold we've had so much of this last year?
No, hey, the Masters commercials are on TV, so Georgia is blooming. They can't
All
mess up
right.
the Masters.
Good stuff. Good stuff. Great. Well, Donald, we always like to start in the beginning and not necessarily your career, but kind of the early days. So tell us about your early family life, where you grew up, and a little bit about your mom and dad and siblings.
Sure, no thanks. I'm one of those Southerners that grew up in Niagara Falls, Georgia, New York, so a little bit different. Growing
Right.
up in Western New York to a family that was an immigrant family that had moved there and established themselves and worked in the factories. And I tell people that was really a blue collar type of family. They
Yeah.
worked hard, they played hard, and they kind of just lived life in that Western New York area.
Where do they immigrate from, Donald?
We had a mixture. We're
Yeah.
Polish, so my last name Bloom is not my traditional name. It
Right.
was changed when they came over, but Polish and English.
All right. Cool. Awesome. And mom and dad, blue collar then? Mom worked from the home. What was kind of
Yeah,
the
yeah.
work history?
Everybody worked. My dad worked in a car body shop, and my mom drove school buses. There was four siblings,
Wow.
myself, a brother, two sisters, and we grew up with a lot of cousins and a lot of family with snowmobiles, card playing, and at that time, Genesee beer was the drink that most of them drank. So it was. I grew up in that lifestyle. When you grow up in that, you don't know that life is any different
Yeah.
and what you're in. So I
Yeah.
got to experience that, the good and the bad of that.
It-
But loved my family. However, my dad had a vision to move to Florida.
yeah.
We didn't quite make it, so
All
we
right.
ended up in Athens, Georgia when I was
Wow.
11.
11. Okay, got it. So that's been home for a while. Love it. And mom and dad both immigrated, or were they sons and daughters of immigrants?
Yeah, no, they were grandchildren of
They're
the
grandchildren.
immigrants. So
Okay.
the great
Right.
grandfathers were the ones that lived in both countries and then
Had
moved
come over.
over. And just started their American life right there in
Yeah.
Western New York.
Awesome. Awesome. What are some of your fonder memories of, things that mom and dad taught you while you were growing up?
Yeah, and I tell people this. My dad gave me a legacy of hard work.
Mm.
This is an interesting story, but this gives an example of what our life was like. In Western New York, he made my brother and I cut wood every Saturday during the summers because
Wow.
in New York during the winter you needed a fireplace. You
Oh
needed
yeah.
a lot of wood, and
Oh
so
yeah.
we moved to beautiful, warm Athens, Georgia, and we have a fireplace, and we probably used it 2 times a year, but every summer, every Saturday, guess what we did? We cut wood.
You must have had a big wood pile out there.
Yeah, we could have, the whole community could have used it. But sometimes in life you hate what your parents put you through,
That's true.
or you
Yeah.
don't appreciate it, I should
Yeah.
say.
Yeah.
But that hard work really taught me just to apply myself, work 6 days a week. I was one of the first children in my entire family to go to college,
Right.
and I
Wow.
worked through college. I got married at a young age,
Yeah.
and that hard work just stayed with me,
Stayed with
and it
you.
was a
Yeah.
legacy my dad taught me.
Were you a good student in secondary school?
Absolutely not.
I have more CEOs that say that than the other. So you're in good company.
No, that's funny. I didn't have direction. My dad taught me
Yeah.
to work hard, but he really didn't provide direction in my
Yeah.
life. And
Yeah.
and I tell people, when you have no direction, usually you go the wrong direction. And
Right.
and that
Right.
was that was part of my teenage years,
Yeah.
unfortunately, up to a point. And then into college, I was just there to kind of get through it. I didn't really understand or have a vision of what I wanted to become. I just knew
Hmm.
that I did not want to, work like my grandparents worked and
Yeah.
then my
Yeah.
parents worked. I wanted something different.
Work with your head instead of your hands. Yeah. What about other types of distractions then? Whether sports, music, theater, what were things that keep you busy during junior
Yeah,
high, high
no,
school?
our childhood. I mentioned my three siblings. There was four of us within really 5.5 years, so we were very similar ages.
Yeah.
The Western New York culture was hunting, fishing, a lot of hard work, outdoors. Moved to Georgia, and I never played sports a lot until I
Right.
moved down here, and then yeah, I got involved in sports, and was pretty good for the area, and developed some relationships through sports, and really learned the games through practicing, playing, and at that time you didn't have ESPN and games on
Right.
every week, so
Right.
I found the 1 or 2 times a week that they actually showed a sport, and I would just dive in and watch it, and that really led me to one of most impactful times in my life, just watching a football game.
Yeah, yeah, awesome. Well, you've been an entrepreneur pretty much your whole career, and we want to get to that in a minute. But before we do, you tell us a little about any entrepreneurial things you did as a kid. Was there the paper route? Was there firewood that you made for sale, or other things that you got yourself involved with at an early age, where you maybe were inspired by our capitalist economy?
Yeah, no, I would say my number one thing that held on to me is I was an organizer. I was
Okay.
somebody that enjoyed having ideas and attempting to put those ideas into place and
Hmm.
develop some little games and different things. Nothing that I turned into sales or revenue, but I did. Growing up in a body shop, I learned that work. So I was the high school guy that if you wanted your car striped or painted or repaired, people would come to me, and
Yeah.
it was neat at that age to be have that knowledge that people wanted, and
And how old were you when you were doing that work?
yeah, I was 14, 15,
14.
16.
Wow.
Yeah,
So did you
so
do an apprentice, or how did you get involved in that business?
yeah,
Or was
that
that
was
dad's?
again, that was my dad
Oh,
making
those
me
dads. Okay. Got it.
forcing yeah forcing me to come help him
Yeah.
work during the week, and so if you were idle, that wasn't a good thing. So
Yeah.
So I was brought along, and I learned that. And so buying buying cars, fixing them up, selling them
Yeah.
is where I learned a little bit about just that skill and managing that with friends and family.
Right, right. Now, was it your parents' vision that you'd go on to college? You'd mentioned that you're one of the few of your generation that have done it, or was that more self-motivated?
Yeah, that was from myself. My
Yeah,
my dad, my mom would have preferred to join him in business
yeah,
and grow that body shop life and that body shop business. And I did not know what I wanted to do, but I
right.
did know that life just was not of interest to me.
Yeah,
So I really just wanted to go to college at that time to play sports.
right.
I knew I wanted to play sports in college, so I was drawn to school to play sports at a small college, and then during that time there, really was gravitated towards the business world and
Yeah,
just learning more about business. So ended up getting a degree at University of Georgia, not
right,
far,
right.
right there in Athens.
Yeah. And you got your degree in accounting, I believe. Is that correct?
That's right.
Yeah.
As somebody that went through a lot of classes and didn't really perform well, I was a B student, C student, and I worked hard for those Bs.
I bet.
It wasn't just natural, but what I discovered in accounting, the class started with about 100 people, and after a few weeks, there was only about 20 of us left. So I said, and I was the highest scorer in that class. I said, I
Yeah.
think I'm going to focus on accounting. This just comes easy. The
Numbers came
numbers,
easy to you. Yeah,
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 numbers and percentages, and the opportunity to just see things work in that system was just made it real easy for me. So
yeah.
I made that decision just to pursue accounting at that time.
Well, it's a great foundational area of study as well. Even if you choose don't to go into accounting as an entrepreneur, or running your own business or running someone else's large business, having that understanding of numbers is critically important. University of Georgia. So did you do part-time jobs? Did you do a scholarship? How did you kind of finance that part of it? Mom and dad help you out?
We weren't in a position where my parents could help,
Yeah,
other than the, just to help with meals
the
or
support, right?
laundry.
Sure.
What moms do is just make sure you have, what you need each and every week, and that was a true blessing for
Yeah,
me. Financially, we weren't a family that had extra
yeah,
income to do
yeah.
that. So I worked. I pretty much worked every Saturday. In fact, I tell people I graduated Georgia, and the first time I didn't have to work a Saturday in my life, I felt like I made it. But through college, you have classes during the week, so you either work, those afternoons, evenings, or weekends to make up that money and to
Sure, sure.
pay for the bills.
And did you work for dad then during that period of time, or were there other jobs that you had during college years?
Yeah, I worked in all places, a paint store. So I
Ah,
sold paint
right.
to construction companies, to painters, and in Athens at that time to designers and interior decorators, and really that job became part of the environment in Athens, Georgia.
Right, right,
Everything wrapped around the university, and a lot of the work wrapped around the university and people in that area.
right. What was that first job you took out of college?
It was with an accounting firm in South Carolina. So
Okay.
I was hired in my junior year, which was nice, and then finished my degree and went right from graduating to working in a CPA firm, a
Did
regional
you,
CPA firm.
yeah, go into audit or tax, or did have you do a little bit of both?
Yeah, I did both, and their goal was to prep you for a CPA and to
Sure.
stay with them and to get clients. So I got to be experienced in all areas.
Great. And did you go on to get your CPA while you're at that regional firm?
I did. I did. I passed it in within that 2 year window and got the experience and got my CPA and kept it for several years. And then
Right.
even in business, I kept it. I don't have it now, but
Right.
it was a lot of hard work to get that degree.
I can imagine. Yeah, held on to that. What was the first time you started managing people?
Yeah, that's a great question. When I moved from that regional larger CPA to a smaller CPA, I had a staff of one underneath me. So that was my first time to actually have team meetings and to manage people and to manage clients,
Sure.
where I was responsible for that. So that was my first step in management.
Yeah. What are some of the, kind of early leadership challenges you found in that job, if any?
Yeah, I think just navigating of what your personality is,
Yeah.
what your character is like, and how you want people to work with you and around you, and navigating developing a mission and a vision and how to execute
Hmm.
at a team level. Sports did teach some of that.
Right.
Honestly, that was a very good help. Some of the classes I had taught that, but within the business setting, to have people excited about doing work that maybe they're not excited about and communicating, that was all kind of a lesson learned. One of the things I did to improve on that pretty quickly is I joined a lot of organizations and civic
Hmm.
organizations and
Yeah.
church, my church that I joined at that time. And one thing with any, I'm gonna say charity or any civic organization or any group that is really trying to make an impact in the community is they need and will take on pretty much anybody that volunteers to help. And so
Right. Right.
I found myself gravitating towards leadership roles in those organizations. Some of it with my accounting background, but some of it with just the background to come alongside and help. And that really was my first step in team building with multiple people,
Right.
scheduling meetings, setting goals, trying to achieve goals, and that taught me a lot at that time.
Yeah. So Kegel Bloom and Company, tell us about that. Was that a company you founded, or it was in the accounting area, correct? Or what were you doing at that time?
Yeah, one of the things I discovered is accounting full time was not something I wanted to do with the
Yeah.
rest of my life, even
Right.
though I was relatively good at it and had some really great clients. Kegel and Bloom was started with Casey Kegel and myself to consult with a lot of the same businesses I did accounting for, but in the area of uh, fundraising,
Okay.
equity raising,
Got it.
developing
Got it.
business strategies.
Yeah.
So really took our core skill a little higher at that time, and in the North Georgia market, we were able to help companies, help mediate companies with investors and bring in the funding that was oftentimes needed for their business plan.
Yeah. Yeah. And then how did that evolve into, was tab merchandising next? Is that correct? Is that where you went after that
Yeah,
period
so
of
my,
time?
my goal was to manage or be part of several organizations, primarily to develop multiple sources of income. And that
Sure.
at that time, I felt like that was the best way, for me to help businesses and learn businesses and also produce, the income goals that I had. However, you learn quickly that business is a lot more difficult than you expect, and to make a profit is very difficult.
Yeah.
And a lot of
Yeah.
businesses in their first few years are not able to do that. And a
That's right.
lot of people
Yeah.
try, and
Yeah.
you're just not able to put all of the pieces together and make a profit. And it's a lot of hard work for little income. So my goal was to build several revenue streams, and to do that, some of them were successful, some of them were not.
Right.
But one of those ventures was a company called Tab Merchandising at the time, and that kind of opened my eyes to the service model for large retailers around the country, and
Mm.
primarily did work for Lowe's out of the gate. And I learned what those project needs were and how to work with larger retailers, and that led to opportunities with Lowe's and Walmart,
Right.
Target, and other companies like that.
So Prime was founded in, I think, December of 2003. Tell us a little bit about that venture, and how it's grown today, and what you do. Just give us a little bit of a thumbnail sketch in your current footprint.
Yeah, so my time at Tab was very helpful in understanding part of the industry, but I had a desire to learn more and to do more in the industry with more clients and on a larger scale. So I
Yeah.
started Prime with four other owners, to provide at that time fixture installation, store
Okay.
fixture installation to national retailers in the U.S. And that
Primarily like the Targets, big box stores, grocery. Who are you focusing on at retail, or all of the above?
Yeah, no, initially it was the big box retail
Yeah.
clients. It
Yeah.
was Lowe's, Home Depot, Walmart,
Right.
Target, some of the bigger
Right.
footprints. And during that time, we were primarily doing new store setups,
Yeah.
which would include installing anything within the new store, and that the fixtures, cash wraps, fitting rooms, racking,
Shelving, the whole deal. Yeah.
shelving, the
Yeah.
gondolas,
Wow.
and doing some of the merchandising. And we kind of changed, evolved, not necessarily by our own decision, but the recession, the housing recession hit
Right.
around that time, and all of the new store projects stopped. I mean, they didn't slow down, they just stopped.
Hmm.
So we had to pivot as a
Yeah.
company, and we reinvented ourselves, if you will, as a
Hmm.
company that could help with remodels. And we
Okay.
added a construction team quickly to take advantage of our same clients that liked working with us, but didn't have the new projects.
Right.
However,
Right.
they did have their current stores that needed remodels. And so thankfully, we were able to pivot, start working with some of those same clients, and then gradually added new clients in that construction space, which involves smaller construction scopes within
Sure.
their footprints, but on a multi-site, multi-state level.
What was the insight that led you to that? I mean, obviously there was the, as you said, not the slowing down, but the stop of new stores. Did you take a look around, or did you get requests from clients about the remodeling direction? How did that come about?
Yeah, sometimes just out of maybe scrambling, you
Yeah.
say, how do we maintain this organization? How do
Right.
we see this through? What does this look like? I think the first few months, honestly, it was let's navigate through this, and then when it comes back, we'll be in good shape.
Yeah.
Well, the things got worse.
That's right.
Um, I would say, Brent, that's a great question. The number one thing is we kept communication up with our clients, and
Yeah.
we
Yeah.
developed relationships strong enough to find out how we could work with them. Is there
Right.
other opportunities in the organization? And not knowing at the time that there was, just opening that dialogue allowed
Yeah.
us to pursue a couple opportunities that fit our skill set. We did a couple projects. They turned out very well. That
Mm.
client had a need for more work, and a couple of key customers at that time really came to us with big programs, and even during those times offered deposits to help get
Wow.
companies through the recession.
Wow.
So that really was that olive branch to our
Yeah.
organization to grow.
Well, it sounded like they really embraced you. And did you recover your revenue stream pretty rapidly going down that direction and grow from there?
Yeah, actually, I would say the light went off. We
Yeah.
saw a limited opportunity before. Now we kind of looked across the industry and said there is a tremendous opportunity to do this for a lot of customers around
Yeah.
the country. So
Yeah.
we kind of entered that building phase of the opportunities and say, how do we grow internally? Though part of the story is we did have with multiple owners, we had some internal conflict with what to do next and how
Mm.
to do things and how to manage a company. And that was probably holding us back more than anything.
How did that get resolved?
I was ready and prepared to leave. I
Yeah.
felt at that time that I had a mission, a personal mission, a mission in how to manage uh, business. And I was prepared to step away and do that on my own.
Yeah.
However, the opportunity came up to replace, and this happened in good dialogue. So none of this was the conflict is not always bad, right?
Right.
Conflict
Sure.
just means there's two different approaches
Right. Right.
to something. So we just worked on, what would work in the company, and I,
Right.
I was steadfast in company mission and company purpose, core values, and God really worked out the pieces.
Yeah.
The other owners were willing to sell. The primary other partner had some medical difficulties and needed to step away from the business. So I was able to now put my branding, if you will, my personal mission on the
Right.
company, and that allowed us to go down a path that better matched what I think companies should
Yeah.
be about.
Did you buy out any of the partners, or did some others exit as you proceeded, or did folks line up with regards to that vision and mission?
Yeah, all the equity owners I bought out. I
Hmm.
felt like for me, I needed to have 100% of the
Right.
organization if we were going to follow my mission and my core values.
Right.
I needed to be the one that was liable for that and responsible for that. And I had a counsel from some folks that pretty much said, if you want to own 100%, you're probably going to have to pay more to the other owners. So I was
Yeah.
willing to, have a good negotiation and pay a really fair value for it, and everybody seemed to have a win-win out of that
Yeah.
situation.
Fabulous.
And but that met, and that was also important to me to have a gracious um, separation of that, and to make
Right.
sure everybody felt that we did the right thing. And I feel to this day that, and I know to this day from several of the folks that were involved, that was a good, not easy, but it was
No.
a right and fair and reasonable way to move the ownership
Proceed.
around.
Yeah. And when did that take place, Donald? How many years ago was it?
That's a great question. I think it was around 2013, and
Okay. So kind of
that
coming out of the
buyout took,
recession, and yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
right. Just as we entered back out of the
Yeah.
recession,
Right.
the opportunities to grow were there. That's when I really pushed for it.
Yeah. Awesome. And today, that split between new fit outs versus the remodeling, as a percentage of your business, how does that fall out?
Yeah, we have four primary business divisions. One is our construction team, which historically has been our larger, over 50% of our revenue.
And that construction is the new fitting out, right? It's the new stores. Is that
Well, the
true?
construction is some new build outs,
Okay.
rebranding, special projects, small remodels. Then we have our installation team, which is
Okay.
about 30% of our business.
Got it.
And that's the gondolas, fixture racking, installation.
Right.
Then we have an electrical division that does power, alternative
Oh,
power
okay. All
supplies,
right.
some
Great.
solar energy charging stations,
Nice.
backup generators. And then one of our newer divisions, but probably one of our highest growing one, is our technology deployment team that
Oh,
we added. What we discovered in a lot of our projects is that there's two needs. Usually, no matter what project you do, whether it's installation or construction, there's technology being deployed in some manner.
sure.
So having the ability to do the electrical plus actually deploying that technology, as well as managing and servicing that
Yeah.
technology, has given our entire brand an opportunity to be involved in projects that maybe before we weren't involved in.
Well, and that's nice too, because then you keep an ongoing pulse with that client and you're servicing them over longer periods.
That's exactly right. The more we
Yeah.
can offer to our clients and keep that relationship evolving is one of our goals.
Yeah. Awesome. And how many employees today?
We have 450 employees today.
Wow. Fabulous. And are they all in Georgia, or do you have different offices to serve different, clients across the country? Across the country?
In the U.S. we have our field force, and our corporate offices are spread out throughout the country. Our
Right.
our corporate office is still based in Georgia.
Yeah.
Majority of our individuals used to work here. Now a lot of them work from home. And then we kind of spread out across the country with field managers, project managers, superintendents, and then field teams.
Right. Right. Cool. And do you have a corporate executive set up there with you in Georgia, or are your folks, given the last couple of years of the pandemic, now more remote? How do you kind of, where's your executive team, I guess, in terms of
Yeah,
physical
yeah, we know.
location and
Yeah,
connectivity?
we're no, that's a good question. We're based in Flowery Branch, Georgia,
Okay.
and we're running about 40% in office, 60% is
Okay.
virtual.
Yeah. Yeah. And what was it pre-pandemic? Pretty much 100% in? Did you have any remote at all?
No, it was highly old school. It
Yeah,
was everybody needed to be in the building at a certain time and work
right,
together. And we were probably a little slow in adopting the ability to work well virtually.
yeah,
We were forced to work virtually, but
right,
I
right.
wouldn't say we worked well, and really until the last 6 months.
Yeah, yeah. And do you think that'll be the new normal, that 60-40 split for prime retail moving forward?
Yeah, we're gonna maintain a virtual
Yeah,
workplace and probably grow it. What we've learned is that one of our employee benefits that is very near and dear to the majority of our employees is the ability to work from home,
yeah,
part
yeah.
of their schedule. And
Right,
I don't see that will ever go back to a full-time
right.
in-office work schedule.
Well, pre-pandemic, and as you know, I work in executive recruiting, done it for a number of years, and the numbers were already in. Folks that work remotely typically have higher productivity, higher retention rates, usually lower costs and lower medical bills, just
Right.
because they're just a lot happier and healthier. And I think, while the pandemic's been so brutal in so many ways, one of the key benefits is just learning how we can work better. And, sometimes that means for some coming into the office where they need to have that camaraderie and the water cooler chat. But other folks, frankly, work a lot better independently and at home.
Well, you mentioned that, and I was not aware of the medical
Oh,
point
yeah.
that you just made,
Yeah.
but
Yeah.
yeah, the
Lower healthcare
overall
costs. Yeah.
attitude seems to be more excited about work.
Yeah.
But I guess there's two parts to that. Yes, there's a joy in being able to work from home and virtually. But I also think the truth is that that's almost considered a requirement now for a lot of people when they
Yeah.
are searching for work. In
Right.
that,
That's
if
true.
you don't allow for that, I think we would miss out on a lot of
Right.
quality people
Right.
if we didn't offer that.
Yeah, I had a client that did literally a 180, had been a San Francisco based, horrible to recruit for because the costs are so high and their office, there wasn't even any parking near the office. So every time he'd call, I said, "Oh, really, David, do I have to do this again?"
Yeah.
And they, through the pandemic learned that they could do another approach, and now they're totally virtual. They've shut that office down, and we're recruiting in parts of the country with wonderful talent at a much sharper, ability to attract and bring folks in that, they didn't have before. And it's been amazing to see how many companies has transformed because of that.
No, that's an excellent point. I know we're looking for a couple positions now and the ability and the mindset to say, this position could be anywhere,
Yeah.
not only in the country now,
Yeah.
but in the world,
Right. Right.
is a way that we can develop our business where historically we could not. So I'm
Absolutely.
excited to see how some of those relationships work out moving
Yeah.
forward.
Yeah. Fabulous. You talked a little earlier about core values and mission, and tell us a little bit about what that looks like at Prime Retail, and importantly, how as you as the owner and CEO kind of propagate that.
Yeah, and mission is dear to me. I know for business classes and you see mission out there a lot, but for me, it's personal.
Yeah.
My personal mission is critical to my life. It's a faith-based mission with
Hmm.
my wife, my family, my community, and it motivates me each and every day to live that out fully, to be able also to bring that mission to business and to our company and to see that lived out through our core values and the decisions we make on a daily basis just provides for me the motivation and the direction to be able to cast a vision
Mm.
for our team, for those that we're involved with. And our mission isn't just for our employees, it applies to everybody we come in contact with.
Yeah.
In fact, our mission is to be great at managing projects and to make a lifetime impact on those we encounter. And that includes customers,
Right.
clients, vendors,
Right.
competitors, uh, companies that don't want to work with us. We want to make, I want to make a positive impact, a lifetime impact
Mm.
on those individuals worldwide. Our vision is to do it, to make that impact to millions of people around the world. And that sounds like a huge deal, but I've seen it happen. I've seen it
Yeah.
happen in small steps. So part of my, legacy, if you will, or part of my mission is to live that out fully each and every day,
Yeah.
and to see that impact and to receive, to measure that impact. Not only see it and have a goal of doing it, but to measure it and to
Yeah.
see the reward of that impact happening, and that our company can make decisions and set strategy based on impact being one of our 5 areas of alignment.
Mm, mm. Well, it starts from the top, and it sounds like you're a CEO that exhibits that every day. But new employees come in, and you're growing, and folks that have stuck around for a while probably know a little bit about it. But how do you kind of get that cultural message communicated to those that are joining you today?
Yeah, communicating culture is by far the hardest task I've ever had.
Yeah.
Changing culture when I stepped in, and moving that big ship in the ocean to get everybody on board to the mission and the purpose, was difficult. It was very difficult. And a lot of people didn't buy in, and they
Yeah.
chose to
Move
leave. They
on.
just
Yeah.
didn't trust how our core values relates to our mission, and how
Right.
I'd rather be unsuccessful in certain areas with the right mission than successful in not meeting our mission. Probably the where we have not done a good job, is to make sure that we communicate our mission to new employees. And we're real good at explaining what the mission is and what our core values are, but we don't measure it. So
Yeah.
one of
Yeah.
the tasks I have this year is to provide more background and history on why our culture is so important. I'm able to
Very
do
good.
it externally with clients and vendors. And then internally, we need more training and development time to
Hmm.
focus on that. So we've started some lunch and learns, and that is where I miss that personal interaction, quite honestly.
Yeah.
When we had the ability to meet
Right.
within
Right.
the office and know everybody was there, it was much easier than it is now. So
Yeah.
videos help, information helps, but until you can work with somebody one on one, which is difficult with 450 employees, right? So,
Yeah.
but until we can really have those times together, it's hard to enforce that. Other than training leaders to train others, and
Right.
just multiplying that mission out, eventually, hopefully, it becomes part of what they think the company is about.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, Donald, what do you look for when you're making bets on the people you invest in and hire?
Yeah, and that's changed over the years. So
Yeah.
the COVID time taught me a lot of things about individuals and what is important to individuals, and what they say is important, and what they
Mm,
really act on when difficult times come.
yeah.
So I've shifted gears to more of focusing on individuals that are high performers.
Mm.
Uh, they are individuals that can turn clay into a pot. They're people that can come in and can take something that you give them, and they have the ability to make that into something special. And so
Yeah.
I've shifted from individuals that I felt like were individuals that would mold well with our team, just based on certain characteristics, to individuals that can work on their own, as we talked about with the virtual workplace,
Right.
and can perform and have vision and direction, and can perform at a high level.
Do you have a favorite question that gets at that when you interview folks?
Yeah, you kind of started it out. And um, what I like to know is what created the person.
Yeah.
And you asked
Yeah.
me, what legacy did my parents leave? And
Right.
I think most people, I'll say it this way: when I had to sit by my father in a hospital room and give the nurse the direction to pull the plug,
Oh gosh.
I didn't realize at that time that they actually come in and they pull the plug. They had literally pull it from the wall,
Right.
and that shocked me.
Yeah.
And that to hear the beat go from a moving beat to solid beef, which means death.
Mm.
I sat there and I just considered, what made me? Did my dad instill things into me, and that helped create certain characteristics, and it did.
Yeah.
But others, their characteristics may have been developed by their father, or may have been they didn't have a father,
Right.
or it may have been they had a great father or a terrible father, or with parents or no parents. So I'd like to know what created their character, what created that, because as I sit in a room or as I'm talking to you, I realize that certain things happened in your life to get you where you're at today. I don't know what that is, but I'd like to know. So with somebody that's joining our company or that I'm meeting, I like to know, and again, this applies to vendors and clients, what got them there. So that if you're able to get to those discussions, that kind of pulls the curtain back a little bit to tell you more about that person and what makes that person up.
Yeah, love it. Well, Donald, you've been very, very generous with your time, but we always have one last question we ask all our CEO guests, because we've got a lot of listeners out there who are obviously looking at their career. Maybe they're a decade or two behind us. And, what would you tell them in terms of career and life advice to someone who maybe has their eyes on a corner office or maybe wants to be an entrepreneur like yourself?
No, this is what I have said and will continue to say is I would encourage each person to be settled in what their life vision is and what they know is their purpose. And different individuals can get settled in different ways. For me, it was my faith, and it was determining that as a person that says that they're of faith, that my life needed to indicate that, and that those around me would agree that that was the most important thing in my life. So once you're able to settle what really is important in your life, then you're able to remove distractions and set a path for the direction you feel like you need to go. And I would say, don't desire a corner office or a CEO role unless you feel like you're settled in that you need to be responsible in that type of situation. And then I would say once you settled and determined that that is the direction you need to go, and that is the best use of your skills and gifts that God gave you, that you have, then you need to give full diligence to working on that every day. I often come across people that will say, I really would like to do this. And I always question them with, are you doing this today? And most of the time that answer is no. And my response is, because I responded to myself this way, and that's why I needed to buy everybody out. My response would be, I don't think you really want to do it if you're not already starting to do it.
That's right. Yeah, so true.
So take that purpose, understand it, be settled in it, and then execute. Ideas are cheap, execute is gold. Start executing on your path.
Wise words, sage counsel. Donald Bloom, President and CEO at Prime Retail Services. Thank you so very much for sharing your journey into the corner office.
Brandon, went by fast, but I really enjoyed it, and thank you so much for the time.
Thank you for listening to Into the Corner Office with Brant Hanley. We hope you enjoyed hearing our guest CEO story as much as we did. If you want to hear more CEOs reveal their journey into the corner office, please subscribe via iTunes and tell your friends and colleagues. For more information about Brant, Resource Options International, and the mighty middle market, visit www.goforroi.com. We look forward to having you join us for our next episode.